Hey guys, it's Providence Acres again. My name is Rachel. I'm glad you guys are joining us. Haven't been posting an awful lot, but we're doing a lot of work. We have been putting in electric fencing. I'll show you a little bit about that. So you can see there's a lot of orange flags out there. That's the electric fencing. And today we got up to a wonderful surprise. A deer had broken our fence, jumped over it, got zapped, didn't enjoy himself very much. So we were fixing that fence this morning, but our cows are none the worse for wear. I think you can see in there. Yeah, so they seem to be very, very happy. Today what I'm going to be working on is taking this really beautiful green area right in here, just on the other side, but kind of between this cattle fence here and the existing electric fence that I put in. And we're going to install more electric fence so that Daisy and Tembo can enjoy a little bit more fresh grass. Their pasture is still trying to grow. We planted it last year with all kinds of pasturing seeds and did really well, but it still needs to get a little bit more established before she can, really enjoy it to her fullest. I hope that wind isn't affecting everything. So you're going to notice a couple of burn piles. We're working on that. This is a work in progress. Okay, so we've got a burn pile there, and not very pretty, I know. We're going to be taking that, moving that to the back, and that's our gun range back there, and we're going to build that up a little higher just so it's safe. But the area that I'm planning to fence in, sorry if my camera's a little bit wobbly, I'm still learning how to do this myself. Okay, so we have, we've got this wonderful gun range back there, and that's where we're gonna put more of the burn pile. So those are just targets, so putting up targets. So we're gonna make that berm, that dirt berm, taller, bigger. But I don't want the cow back there, obviously. So her fence is right here, and this is actually where we had the deer. Likely jumped over the fence. I'll show you a little bit of some of the leftover. And my understanding is this is a very common thing that happens. Thankfully, this electric wire is very forgiving. When it happened, everything turned off. The Energizer stayed on. We have a solar Energizer. Let's see, I was right around this area. See if I can find one of there it is. Okay, poor deer, they did not have a very good night, so I don't know if you can see that, but there's all kinds of deer fur on that barb, and then pieces of fur right there. So somebody did not have a good time. I need to remember to stay back because this electric wire is on. It's on hot too, 7,000 volts. So it's very hot. Anyway, this is our gun range back of the pasture. Right here, it goes all the way down there. And then I've got a divider fence so that I can do rotational grazing. And see Daisy up there. Let's see if I can get close to her. She's a big girl. She was nearing 2,000 pounds. So we're finishing off putting in a pallet fence there, just to protect, you know, people from being able to coming in too close to the electric, and also to just give her more space right there between the electric fence and the pallet fence. There's a lot of green, healthy, lush grass that she would really enjoy. So we want to fence all of that off and give her that. So my job today is to go from this corner electric post straight across here and tie in to that fence right there. Line it with electric, just two sides, and then that will be ready for her. And my sons are going to finish off fencing from that pallet back there straight over to where we've got an old cattle fence beginning, and we've got some grapevines back in here that were part of an arbor, and we're just going to have them drape over top of the pallet fence. And then they're working on the other side of the corn crib, putting in a pallet between the barn and the corn crib, just to make sure everything's all nice and tight. So that's going to be my job today. So you can follow with me. When I started this, oh, this is zoomed in really tight, sorry. When I started doing the electric fence, I was seriously overwhelmed. And everybody just kept saying, oh, you can do it, you can do it. No. But I'm not real good with electricity. I don't really understand it. And I've had it explained to me many times. You know, those people that say, it's so simple, right? You know, it's just this. You've got voltage, you've got amperage, you've got joules, you've got wattage. It makes sense, right? No. I don't get it. But now I gotta put up an electric fence. Not exactly the best person to be doing something like that. Probably somebody more qualified would have been better. But if it's gonna get done, I gotta get it done. And learn something. Plastic is not a conductor of electricity. That's a good thing to know. Metal is. That's also a good thing to know. Okay, so we're going to be working on I don't know if you can see, but we're going to put in tying from right here, running straight across to tying in down there. That's my job. I'm going to go get my tools. We're going to get started on this. Okay, I'm going to go turn off our energizer. I bought a solar-powered energizer. A little bit on the expensive side, but it's on sale. The nice thing is we'll never see this on our electric bill, so it allows us to have the flexibility of being able to control where we want our electric to go. We're not governed by long extension cord. Okay, something I'm learning about this, just flip this over real quick. This is our energizer, solar powered. Okay, so yeah, American Farm Works, 10 miles, puts out 0.15 output joules. It's good for 10 miles. But at least now the fence is not hot, so I can make sure that we're all safe. I'll show you what my boys are doing. You can kind of see a little bit more. There's our grapes. They're going to go over top of that.
Where are the zip ties?
They should be either in the container that you use to do the barbed wire, or they're in my fencing bucket, which is down there. my fencing bucket is one thing I have learned that you can't live without. So any of you that are thinking about doing fencing, you need to get yourself a fencing bucket. I thought about doing something fancy, like a roll-around cart, but just a plain old 5-gallon bucket will do just a trick, just nice. Okay, so this is my fencing bucket. It's got my tester in it. Those are my plastic posts. I love these. Bought some black ones instead of the white when I've used them. I'll show you out here. Use it for a part of my temporary pasture. But what you can see easily is that you can see the white ones. Black ones are not as easy to see. So I'm sticking with white, mostly because I want the easy visibility. I don't want somebody to go running and accidentally run into this fence. So test my fence, make sure that I'm not hot anymore, and start putting the setup. So I'm going to set this down so that you can just kind of watch. Okay, I've got my post set up. This is closer than they need to be, but I also want it to be easy access for anybody who's... I apologize for all the bumping around. I'm still looking at this. So, but I am a newbie when it comes to electrical fence. I don't know if you could see when I tested the fence. It is off. Still not real wild about putting my fingers on it. Okay. So down here, I need to put some insulators on this old pipe and run at least one line along this old fence down to this post. Ooh, we've got some nettles. So this post, it already has an old insulator on it. I'm not going to use that because I don't want it to deteriorate, and then I've got extra grounding. We'll run behind this tree, get rid of some of this junk here. And then I bought some wooden insulators to go around this post. And I gotta move these great big huge posts there. Go behind, attach it to the post behind there. And I was going to just finish it there. I think I will still. I don't know. We'll see. I'm still thinking I might just run some more electric along this fence to that post and then continue down until I get to the wooden post down there. I'm still thinking about that. My only concern is I don't want children to get hurt. And that's also one of the reasons we're putting this fence up along this border to separate from that electric fence. I don't want kids to get hurt. We had to introduce our dogs to the fence because one of our dogs got out of the fence and tore after our cows, and that was just a bad situation all the way around. So we decided after we put the electric fence up that we would introduce them very slowly to the electric fence so that they didn't run straight into the electric fence and, you know, then get hurt really bad. It was still really hard to watch. It was really hard to watch. We let them just barely sniff the fence. We kept telling them no. They insisted on sniffing the fence. They touched the fence with their noses. That hurt real bad. Of course, you know, your dogs are your babies and you don't want anything to happen to them, but better that way than running pell-mell into that electric fence and then really getting hurt bad. It was a tough day yesterday with that because they were down and out most of the day yesterday. They're doing better today, but it was hard to watch. So, if that's what it's going to do to our dogs, and they're both pit bulls, their pain tolerance is really high. We can't use a vibrator or even a gentle shock collar on them. First of all, we don't want to train them using pain. We're not big promoters of that. But better that than running out into traffic and getting hurt. So, pit bulls, though, if you know anything about the breed, they've got a really high pain tolerance. And one of ours is also part Labrador. So he's got a really thick fur on him. So he was scrubbing under the barbed wire like it was nothing. So it was important that he be able to see what would happen if he touched the electric fence. You could smell it. The electric fence before you even got up close to it, and he could too. So I'm still debating whether or not I want to do electric fence, you know, up here, because I don't want kids to get hurt. So having this border allows for safety for kids. fence. So I may just put a couple of really tight lines of barbed wire on. I have to prevent the dogs from getting in, and for the cows getting out. But I also want to be safe for the kids, so we might try. I might even just do some electric fence for a little while, and then leave that section disconnected, and until the dogs understand that hurts and to stay away from it. I might just try to do that. Anyway, if you guys have any thoughts, put them in the comments. I appreciate thoughts. Again, I apologize if this wind is just making it so that the noise is incredible. I really apologize. Working on getting some software that'll do some noise canceling. So I'm going to get started on that. I'm using a 6-strand wire, not a 9-strand. The 6-strand was cheaper, and it's still putting out 7,000 volts, which was enough to hurt my dogs and make my very large cow be afraid of it and respect it greatly. So 6-strand is fine. I like the poly wire. Now that I'm using it, I really prefer the white because it's more visible, and I was using the black and the yellow, but you just can't see it as easily. So we're going to put that up and get that going. All right. One thing I did want to mention was about this wire. It has 3 plastic strands on it. Each of these strands has the plastic. It's easily cut by my favorite tool. Nothing super fancy, very rusted, beat up. I don't know how well you can see that, but you get the idea. It's really rusty. I need to sharpen it again. But I need to, let's see if I can flip this around again. You guys are being really patient with me. If you're still with me, thank you so much. I need to wrap it around this. I've got my hook right there, just hanging on that. Remember, this fence is off, so it's not going to hurt me. Like I said, I'm still respectful. But I tied a lot of this fencing on, and I'll trim this up. Tied my little tail there. And the point is, I want this to be removable. So my goal here is all of my fencing on this. We're going to have probably 3 at least lines, maybe 4, we'll see. Going on this, connecting to this post right here. And on a single strand coming off the top, hooking up to that. That is enough of a connection right there at that little gate, that little handle right there. It's going to make enough connection to turn this entire white temporary fence to register 6,000 to 7,000 volts. So that's going to be plenty. The point of this, though, is you've got 3 strands. In order to make a nice solid connection, especially if you're new to this, this might be helpful for you. It was very helpful to me. I couldn't find any videos on this, and I felt like such an idiot having to figure this out by myself. So, just to help you, because this is what I've learned, I'm going to strip off the plastic. I'm going to cut the plastic using my nice little handy dandy scissors there, and I'm going to leave the little metal strands. And then I'm going to actually fold that over, tie it over on itself down this way. So it's going to actually create, in essence, a loop, which then I will hook around this top. Okay, so I need to be able to tie this like around this part here. But if the plastic is what's making the connection, I'm not going to get a good feed. So I'm going to trim the plastic back, and then I'm going to tightly wrap the metal pieces on the white strand here, just so that I make sure that I am making a nice, tight, solid connection. This is really, really easy, a lot easier than I thought it was going to be, but it's really important. You just want to make sure that you are making a connection, because if there's one thing that is important, connection is everything. So I'm going to do that. Okay. here I've trimmed back the plastic and you can see the little wires. 6 of them to be exact. Okay, so I'm going to loop this around. And then I'm just going to wrap these wires tightly, nice and tight. And I'll show you what that looks like here in just a second. Okay, so I looped it around this post here just a couple of times. Just looped it around twice, and then I did a bunch of little knots, slip knot type things. And then you can kind of see I've got it wrapped just really, really tight around. Because I don't know if you can tell here, but if you look real close at this wire, can't seem, okay, maybe there a little bit. You can see that there's a lot more plastic than there is wire. So I don't want to accidentally cause my connection to be so fat that the gapping, it ends up not touching the wire at all. So by wrapping it tightly down here at my knot like I have, I'm pretty much ensured I'm going to get a good solid connection. So then what I'm going to do is I'll take the tail and I'll just tie it onto this, and it can be permanently attached. But the point is, then all I have to do to disconnect my entire contraption here is to just unhook that. And it can be loose, that's fine. It doesn't need to be super tight. Connection. Electricity does not care if it's loose or tight. It does care if something else is touching it that's not supposed to. Alright, so now I'm going to continue running my line. I want to keep it tight. And I'm just going to continue it all the way down there and across. And then I'll stop at the wooden post once I unbury it. And then start a separate connection that could be attached but can also be detached to go across this, so that just at least I have the option of having it electrified if I need to. Yeah, excuse the trash piles. This has been a work in progress. Our goal is to have this place just gorgeous, so we will get that done. And this is our dream home, but it's a dream home in progress. Okay, so I've got 4 lines, and my spool's just hanging down there at the end. I'll tie it off. When I looped it, I did a couple of different things to loop it. You just want to make sure you've got a nice continuous line, and I don't want anything to happen to this. So, you know, I kind of looped it around the ones in the back. I chose not to connect this fence to the metal fence. I will connect it by a single strand wire, but I also wanted to make sure that this fence could be completely removed. Here you can kind of see what I've done here. The top one, just loop down, and then I looped it around, and then it came back, and it just went down again, and then to come back, just kind of looping it around just to make sure that, you know, it's a good solid connection. So I will then just have a single strand connected to this post here, and then it can be disconnected. I'm not going to use a handle for that one. I can just use a regular strand because that one is easy to disconnect. All I have to do is disconnect the handle down there, and then this entire fence is dead. So then if all I need to do is just kind of untie or unwrap something here, you know, that's easy enough to do. I'm not going to get hurt or anything. So just making the decision, where do I want my source to be coming from? If I were to make the hook down this direction, then, you know, if I made the hook here, then unhooking it still leaves all of that hot. So then I'm still having to work with a hot fence to move it. But by disconnecting it down there, it completely cuts off electricity flowing this direction. So now this entire fence is dead and is safe. So that was just something that I took some time thinking, where do I want my connections? How do I want my connections? How easy do I want this to be? What do I want this to look like? And that's what I came up with. So I'm going to go ahead and finish off my tie down there, and I'm going to connect the handle. I'm not going to turn it on, obviously, but then I need to start working on putting in my insulators, connecting this, because our calf will easily walk right through that. And I need to zip tie this cattle fence up a little higher, make it straighter, make it just better condition. And then the electric fence will take care of the rest of it. I may do a couple of strains here just because our little calf likes to be inquisitive and I don't want her to get hurt. So I'll turn this back on as soon as I'm ready to start with those insulators and connect the post. I like using zip ties. That's my favorite thing to use because they're so durable and they're so cheap. But I think with this part here, I will just have to figure out what I'm going to do here because, yeah, there's a couple of different things I've got going on here, so I'll figure that out in a minute. Okay, I have finished what I'm going to do for right now. Hopefully it'll work. But right down here I've got a fake line right here. I'm not terribly worried about that one. That one's not going to be on. But at least visually it's going to look like a continuation. And you can hear, if I can hear these electric lines on, then I know, and smell them even, I know that the dogs can too. So my hot one ends right here. And it's just looped. I don't need to worry about the connection here so much because I'm not connecting a line to run continuously. It's just ending right there. So I don't need to worry about splicing it so perfect. It's connected because it's connected to itself. So then this runs down here, an old stake that had an old insulator. I'm gonna have to watch this brush and stuff to keep it clipped, trimmed back, because I don't want anything touching this line. Really not so much as a blade of grass, although that is a little overkill. However, it'll do what I need it to do. Okay, so my line then continues over top of this old cattle fence. Oh, I cannot wait to get rid of that mess on the other side. That will be a good day. And then continues there. So here's the difference between the insulators, because plastic does not, porcelain, you know, things like that, they do not conduct the electricity, they don't absorb it. So the electric line, as long as it's not touching anything except for the plastic, that's why it's known as an insulator. It protects it from touching anything that could short it out or ground it. And up there, it's a few insulators. What I've done here is just redirecting the line to go from the inside to the outside. So just following it around. I want it to touch the wood because the wood will absorb. So it's not touching the wood. Just kind of runs along here and then connects all the way through. Connects there. Connects there. And all the way through. I did a weird kind of a splicing job. I'm not real happy about it, but I like things to look neat and pretty, and this is not neat and pretty, but it'll do the job. So I have an extra up here that I was going to use, but it caused my line to be too far above the existing cattle fence. I was pretty sure the cows would try to get through. This is hot enough, they don't want to get anywhere near it. But if it was up the way it was, yeah, they might have tried to get underneath it. Tempo. So, connected this, wrapped it around, and then back over, straight down. Again, the most important thing is that it must not touch the metal anywhere. It's connected there, and then up, and then down, and then over. So that I just threw in an extra post there just to fill in my gap. I don't want a baby cow to try to squeeze through the that space there. But this fence is still considered a temporary fence. It's real easy to lift up, out. I'll show you the handle here in a minute. Okay, here we are. There's the fence, the handle. I just trimmed a little hair right there. Followed it up. I peeled back the little pieces of plastic to reveal the little metal strands, and then wrap them around the other metal strands that you had seen earlier. So that now, when I connect this, and the only thing it's touching is the barbed wire there, but no metal. See, I don't want a little tail there. I don't want that to touch the barbed wire, because that'll ground it out and then it won't be any good. But since it's not, no metal is touching the metal, now, if this whole thing were on, that whole fence, and then down around, and all the way up to where you had seen before, would be hot. So I'm going to go ahead and turn on the Energizer and just go ahead and test this. And see what happens. Alright, I'm going to use my handy dandy tester. Tried a couple of the cheaper ones. They don't work. Alright, this fence is on. So I'm going to be real careful. I'm going to plug in the ground. Into the ground. Just this moist earth is helpful. So here's my previous showing on 1.2, and they're all enough 7,000 volts. Okay, so let's try here. That little connector is hot. Let's try here. That is hot, very hot. So my temporary fence is working. It's working down here where I have my mess going on. Put in my ground. Let's test right here. What about here? Yep, that's hot. That's very hot. Okay. Here. Not worried so much about that. This is all hot. Make sure it's hot. Just about ready to let the cows into here. This is my fake one. Nothing. This is my end. .6, all the way at the end. So, I'm hoping that this was helpful to any of you newbies that are trying to figure out how to do an electric fence. If I can, you know, and anybody can. It just took some just actual doing, just remembering continuous current is what's most important. Just make sure you've got your current able to flow continually without being interrupted. All right, we'll see you next time here on Providence Acres. Thanks, bye.